Churches in America were once the backbone of communities, places of faith, hope, and charity. But today, critics argue that money and power are slowly destroying what the church was meant to be. From prosperity preachers in private jets to pulpits turned into political stages, American Christianity faces a crisis of credibility. This is the story of how money and power are reshaping, and in some ways, destroying, American churches. Junaid Raza. In early America, the church was simple. Wooden benches. Community gatherings. Worship was about God, not profit. Churches were centers of charity, feeding the hungry, caring for the sick, and guiding communities with faith and compassion. But over the centuries, especially in the 20th and 21st, the mission of many churches began to change. Instead of service, some shifted toward spectacle. Instead of humility, some embraced wealth. Junaid Raza. In the 1980s and 90s, America saw the rise of the megachurch. Buildings that looked more like arenas than sanctuaries. Thousands of seats, million-dollar sound systems, and celebrity-style pastors. These churches often preached the prosperity gospel, the idea that faith leads to wealth, and wealth is proof of God's blessing. But here's the problem: when faith becomes a business, the line between worship and profit begins to blur. Donations meant for community service often fund luxury lifestyles, mansions, cars, and even private jets. Junaid Raza. American churches are supposed to be tax-exempt because they are separate from politics. Yet today, many churches are deeply entangled in political power. Pastors endorse candidates, campaigns are run from pulpits, and political parties use faith as a tool to gain votes. The result? Churches that once united communities now divide them. Congregations split between left and right. Instead of focusing on spiritual growth, sermons often sound like political speeches. And millions of Americans, especially young people, are leaving the church because of it. Junaid Raza. In a country where millions struggle with poverty, healthcare, and housing, many pastors live like kings. Private jets, million-dollar homes, designer suits. The question is simple: should the money given to churches support the lavish lifestyles of preachers, or should it help the poor? Critics argue that many American churches have lost their moral compass, trading service for self-interest. Junaid Raza. The consequences are clear. Church attendance in America is at an all-time low. A growing number of Americans, especially millennials and Gen Z, identify as nones, meaning they have no religious affiliation. Why? Because they see hypocrisy. They see wealth and politics where they expected faith and compassion. For many, church no longer represents God, it represents greed. Junaid Raza. Yet, not all is lost. Across America, small churches and grassroots movements are fighting back. These churches are not about luxury or politics. They are about community, charity, and faith. They don't fill stadiums, but they fill hearts. They don't promise riches, but they live the message of Christ, love, justice, and compassion. The question now is, will America's churches return to their roots, or will they continue down a path where money and power overshadow faith? Junaid Raza. Money and power can build empires, but they cannot build faith. If the church in America is to survive, it must remember its true mission: not wealth, not politics, but service to God and to humanity. Because at the end of the day, faith is not about how rich your pastor is or how big your church looks. It's about how deeply you live the values of love, compassion, and justice. Junaid Raza. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more honest conversations about faith, culture, and society.